So, we've got some stuff to talk about, but before we get to the cringe featured in the title, I have a little Dungeons & Dragons scenario I want to walk you through. Now, don't worry, it's not going to take long. I just need you to hold my hand for a second here and think about what you and your D&D group would do in this situation. So, you and your party, you are in the Underdark, and you are searching for a powerful warlock that you need to talk to. Problem is, the idiot got himself trapped behind a very large pile of rubble. A good old-fashioned cave-in. Clearly, whatever magic he does have access to is ineffective against this rock. Luckily, the miners outside are working very hard to excavate him before he suffocates to death. Problem is, the foreman of those miners, she's working them to the bone, and they are not making any progress with their little pickaxes. This is where you come in. You still need to talk to this guy, and that's going to be very hard if he suffocates to death, so you set out to free him from this rubble. The foreman tells you that it would actually be really easy to free him if they had access to their gunpowder. Unfortunately, one of the miners ran away with it. She doesn't know where that miner went, but she does know that the other miners have a clue of where she's gone. Maybe you should talk to them and find that gunpowder. Now, a lot of D&D groups are going to take the path of least resistance, the path that the Dungeon Master plainly presents, where you talk to the miners, through them you find the gunpowder, you use the gunpowder to blow up the rubble, you talk to the warlock, quest complete, happily ever after. However, groups who have a lot of knowledge about the game's mechanics and who are properly equipped in their inventory and in their spellbook may think up a way to solve this problem on their own accord, using a powerful 4th level fireball to blow up the rocks, or perhaps mining away with some magical items in their inventory. Players with enough knowledge of the game can forge their own path. Basically, we see two different pathways, one for people who are more inexperienced, and many for people who are more experienced. This sort of dynamic, where the game tries to cater to both aspects of play, is very common in tabletop and in more open RPG video games, such as Baldur's Gate 3. For sharp-eared listeners who have played BG3, you might have recognized the scenario I just described. I loosely summarized the quest Free Near, which is found in the Underdark and leads into the game's second act. It's a very important part of the story if you decide to take the Underdark pathway. Now, most players did not have a problem with this quest. The game gives you an easy solution with the gunpowder, and if you're experienced enough, you can create your own solution with a two-handed warhammer equipped to Karlach, or a high-level spell, or in my case, the various explosives I happened to find around the Underdark leading up to that point. There were plenty of solutions, so this wasn't a roadblock for most players. Most players aren't Lily Orchard, though.
How did you stun yourself?
If you are unaware, Lily Orchard / CD Call, as she's renamed her channel, is a YouTuber that we covered on Critical Failure. We talked about her god-awful takes on Baldur's Gate 3. In fact, they were so awful that most people assumed that she had simply never played the game. And honestly, I could see that perspective given how blissfully ignorant she seemed to be about fundamental aspects of both the plot and the game's mechanics.
Baldur's Gate 3 sold like crazy, but we have Steam achievements telling us that only 50% of players actually made it halfway through the game.
Well, initially, in response to my video, Lily went on a bit of a crash out on her Blue Sky, complaining about my use of the term pick me. Whenever I see someone use the term pick me in regards to women who disagree with them on trivial topics, my first thought is always, okay, so mommy breastfed you into puberty, didn't she? Which she's free to do, but is a little bit ironic considering
Pick-me's come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. I've been called a pedo for 10 years. You think getting one nasty YouTube Nazi or pick-me to repeat the same BS is gonna matter? Go be a pick-me somewhere else.
Lily, the call is coming from inside the house. Awkward. She also hilariously attempted to compare my appearance to that of Asmongold, and I will point out to Lily that she looks more like Asmongold than I do, considering that, despite what she may believe, Lily is actually white. But in any case, that crash out is what I thought would be the end of it, a few Blue Sky posts, and then she moves on with her life. But That's not exactly what happened. You see, whether or not it was caused by my video, Lily Orchard could not let go of Baldur's Gate 3. Apparently, it was so tumultuous that she was ranting to her wife, and she needed this obsession to stop, so she would be creating a video to prove that Baldur's Gate 3 is a failure of a video game. But of course, she would need to play Baldur's Gate 3 in order to do that.
Okay, so over the last few days, I found myself ranting to my wife about where BG3 fails as like a Baldur's Gate game, or even just as a game in general. I've got to just fucking do this goddamn video and get it out of my goddamn system.
Hence began the Lily Orchard Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough, proving, by the way, the theories that she never really played the video game all the way through. Huh, weird. Anyway, how's this playthrough going? Well...
Ah, there it goes. You have to remember something very important. Larian hates fun.
A 7-hour live stream exists on her channel, which I decided to tune into a few weeks after it came out, and yeah, it's rough. The playthrough is filled with nonsensical decisions, some of the worst takes you've ever seen, and deaths to easy encounters that are simply embarrassing. I'm sorry, if you're gonna review a game, you should at least be somewhat competent in playing it. I would say get good, but you don't really need to be that good to beat Baldur's Gate 3, so just get mid, I guess. It's even worse back on her Blue Sky. I checked in recently and scrolled through a massive timeline of her constantly ranting about Baldur's Gate 3 with some of the most nonsensical takes on the game's story, which we've already seen in my previous episode, but now we get to talk about Lily Orchard's nonsensical takes on the game's mechanics. Baldur's Gate 3 sorcerer guides, you should focus on hypnotic pattern and hold monster for crowd control.
Actually though, Baldur's Gate 3 in practice, this is a Larian game. Sleet storm and you win.
Lily, there are 2 brain cells bouncing around in your empty head, and those 2 brain cells have not collectively outsmarted the entire Baldur's Gate 3 community by casting the most mid spell of all time, Sleet Storm. You are visibly playing on easy mode. Shut the hell up. There are so many things I could talk about when it comes to Lily Orchard's embarrassing Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough, but I feel like that clip, where she is attempting to free Nier from behind the rubble in the Underdark, basically sums up everything wrong with Lily Orchard as a gamer, as a reviewer, and possibly as a person.
Oh, this is a cave-in. That is so ass backwards. Honey, I hate to break it to you, most of D&D's rule set is ass backwards.
You see, Lily is clearly opting, in this case, to not take the path of least resistance. You know, collecting the rune powder and using that vial to blow up the rubble. She's trying to carve her own solution, which is okay. The game caters to that person as long as they understand the mechanics. Lily's trying to do this on her own because she thinks she's intelligent. The problem is reality keeps on proving her wrong. Lily tries everything to destroy this massive pile of rocks. She tries slashing at it with a one-handed sword, shooting a first-level magic missile at it. She even tries shooting a bow and arrow at it. Lily, are you freaking stupid? I would point out that she could have just hit the inspect screen and seen what the mechanic was behind the rock. Essentially, you need to deal above a certain damage threshold in one hit in order for the damage to count as all. So these light little attacks are not going to do anything, especially since a giant pile of rocks has resistance to the types of damage that she is mostly using in this case. I would say all that, but I also, like I said before, think that basic reasoning would dictate that shooting a bow and arrow at rocks is probably not going to do anything for you. The dumbest part of this clip is actually something that isn't even really shown. It's that first bit I showed you way before, where she slashes at the rocks with a freaking halberd for some reason and gets stunned. Initially, I was actually rather confused as to why she was stunned, as was Lily, as you heard.
How did you stun yourself?
But I assumed it was something in her inventory that was causing this, and lo and behold, I was correct after doing literally 5 seconds of research, because yeah, the halberd she was using literally tells you in its description that it will stun you. It even highlights that status condition for your convenience. Lily Orchard is so talentless that she doesn't even have the talent of being able to engage at the most simple level with the game's mechanics. The ability to read a couple of sentences apparently escapes her. Lily is a fundamentally incurious and somewhat completely incompetent person, and that's actually okay. Like back up. I'm actually not trying to offend anyone or insult anyone here. Generally speaking, you can play Baldur's Gate 3 as someone who is largely incurious about the game's deeper systems and mechanics. Like I said before, Baldur's Gate appeals to both kinds of players. Players who want to engage with the game on a more casual level and at a more intense level, digging into its mechanics. Not only does it have an easy mode, which Lily Orchard is visibly playing on to make the game more accessible from a combat standpoint, it also, from a narrative and puzzle solving standpoint, gives you easier ways to solve certain scenarios. You don't need to go in deep with anything, the game will happily guide you through. Like, for example, if you want to clear out the goblins with simple combat, talking to Holliston and getting a 5th party member who turns into a bear makes that combat much easier. This is something Lily Orchard is clearly incapable of doing, as when she tried to clear out the goblin stronghold, this happened. She's not curious enough to engage in the game's mechanics, and she's not smart enough to figure them out herself. So instead, she personally blames Larian Studios for all her failures, forgetting that she's the one playing the game, not them. The failures are on her, not the developers. Boiling it down, Lily is an incompetent fool who thinks that she is a genius. She thinks she's a genius because, according to her 20 favorite games of all time list, she plays games that mostly have low skill floors, and that is completely okay. Like I said before, I love more casual video games. I don't need intense experiences all the time. However, I'm also not delusional enough to believe that being able to beat those kind of games makes me some kind of super genius that stands above everybody else. Lily does have that delusion, along with many other delusions. Given how much you guys all loved my coverage of Lily Orchard's Baldur's Gate 3 takes, I'm sure you will be happy to hear that I will be responding to whatever video she makes out of Baldur's Gate 3, if she ever makes that video. I do have a sequel plan. I have had a plan for a while. I'm just waiting for her to release whatever this half-assed review is. Spoiler alert for my video, I'm not really going to be talking about her Baldur's Gate 3 takes that much. Frankly, whatever video she does end up making is going to be exactly like Lily. It will have the substance of a sheet of paper. There's no reason for me to really interrogate Baldur's Gate 3 takes from Lily Orchard. However, I do think there's a Baldur's Gate related thing I still have to talk about when it comes to Lily. I still have to talk about the real reason she doesn't like Baldur's Gate 3, and the real reason she likes Baldur's Gates 1 and 2 so much. The reason is because of family. Yeah, that's right. Family. You see, there's a feature in Baldur's Gate 3 that is missing for Lily Orchard, something that she desperately needs in order to love a video game. The ability to goon over her little sister. Oh yeah, we're going there. Look forward to that whenever it comes out. For now, I'm done talking about Lily Orchard for a while. I probably shouldn't have talked about her today. This week was shockingly packed. Draw Steele came out from MCDM. Matthew Mercer made a huge announcement for Campaign 4 Critical Role. The itch.io and Steam controversies with censorship of tabletop role-playing games. Oh boy, it's packed, guys, so I'm just lucky I got to get this video done before I have to get back in the trenches and talk about all the current events happening in this industry. It's a good time to be a tabletop fan. But in any case, if you guys enjoyed and you watched the whole thing all the way through, then leave the comment, drink your soup, Lily, to let me know you were loyal to the tavern and watched all the way to the end. As for why that specific comment, Tumblr told me that drink your soup pisses off Lily Orchard. I don't have context and I don't know why, but there you go. In any case, if you guys really enjoyed this and want to see more of our content, then you can check out our full episode on Lily Orchards linked up in the cards. But before you go, please leave a like on this one and subscribe to Crispy Tavern so you miss any of our content when it comes out. And finally, if you want to support us directly, then you can subscribe on Patreon to get access to tons of exclusive content. Remember, your support is what makes these videos possible. In essence, like, comment, subscribe, support. I'll see you all next time. Farewell. There we go. It was the stand was still unstable. I was like, I can't record it.